Hey, Phil, didn't see you there.
Testing one, testing one, two. Hey Ryan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about the delay there. Took a little while to get the audio set up. Oh, the volume you hear? Testing, testing. All right. Okay. All good? So let's see.
Anyway, they bought their.
We have a quorum
Look how good he looks.
and hi guys. Hi Sue.
Yes, we have a farm.
Sorry, I didn't say hi until now. I was
No, I knew you were trying
kind
to
of
get on.
struggling getting this
Listen,
thing
I'm
online.
your husband. I know not to bother when you're trying to get on. I- to intense, one thing at a time.
Yeah, well, the problem was that this room was locked, unfortunately, and also the town is at lunch until 1 o'clock. I was able to reach Justin and he let us in. But we do need to come up with a better system for being able to get in. Anyway, there'll be lots of improvements. we need to do. Let's get that on the agenda. In the minutes.
Who's our secretary here?
Oh, it's Jerry. Okay.
You can do, I mean.
Yeah, it's a good idea to
You
get.
want to do it, that's fine.
No,
Sue needs to share the agenda with you again. So you want to take notes and be the secretary today?
no, I don't.
Yeah.
I've even been kind of stuck with getting it into Word so he can just copy and paste.
Which makes a huge difference.
I did that during Palooza because we had too much going on. John was doing so much. I didn't think he could do much more.
Hi, Ryan.
Oh, hi, Ron. Hi, Ryan.
Yeah, there's Ryan, and so we do have a quorum. Actually, it is currently 1:14, and let's go ahead and take a roll call. So we have 6 people here, so we do have a quorum. We've got Wesley, Sue, Jerry, Mimi, Bill, John, and Ryan is not part of the quorum, but he is participating remotely, and that's totally fine. So let's call the meeting to order. And in terms of, let's take a look at this time's agenda. And I know that there's some agenda items that are not on here. We got your Christmas fair, because you brought that up a while ago. But
I'm sitting down here because I had a COVID exposure on Monday. And I'm not sick, but I just want to make sure nobody else gets sick.
Thank you.
Thank you. I
Oh,
just am trying to keep
thank you.
socially distant and
Appreciate it.
we
keep
appreciate
everybody
it.
safe,
We definitely-
but I'm here, so.
So you had mentioned, you sent an email and you wanted something added to the agenda, and it came in after I'd already gotten this off. Do you remember what that item was? You sent it.
Was, well, is it already on? It's on every time on the photo photography. I sent it to Jeff.
Okay.
And copies to you and Jerry.
Okay, so that's not a non-agenda.
It's usually always on. It doesn't matter. I
Yeah,
didn't hear
okay.
from you.
So I know that you'd sent an email that you wanted to discuss it during the meeting, but I kind of just flew through that email. It sounds like it's agendaized, so we will be covering it. In terms of items not on the agenda, in terms of all communications, there are we have advanced planning for PV Palooza 2024. Okay, so I don't have any non-agenda topics. Does anybody else have agenda items that are not on A through F under new business? If
Nope.
not, then we can move to reviewing the minutes that are in your agenda package from our last meeting.
There's a typo on the last line in the new business budget review. It says the town plans cannot accept past donations in a jar. I don't know how that happened. Those words left out. It should say the town plans
I think it's just,
on donation in a jar as we cannot accept cash. It's much clearer.
okay, all right. That's a good correction. All right, so that's a good correction. Anybody else find anything that needs to be corrected? Anything?
Only the line with Tam above it, it's minor, it doesn't change it. It says Tam will bring the,
Oh,
cross out the,
okay,
but that's all the errors I found. Except John has and walkie-talkie. It has to be a walkie before a consonant. I'm sorry, I taught English.
I know, good for you. We sure didn't catch it.
And then the O was left out in alcohol, only on one line.
Perfectionist.
I read it down to the minute thing.
We're just glad you're here.
Mhm. Yeah, Semicolon was left out under Devil's Canyon, semicolon.
Well, then I
confidence.
don't move to approve the minutes. for the
But
semicolon
now
is
they're
it?
corrected.
All right, so subject to the corrections made by our grammar coach here, do we have any other, do we have a motion to approve them?
There is corrections. I'll move that we accept the minutes.
All right. All right, cool. So we got that. taken
Gotta say
care
all
of.
in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. On to new business. Thanks for the reminder. Budget review. Okay, so I don't have this year's budget. Although I heard that it went through without modifications, and I was a little surprised. I kind of pushed the pedal a little bit. So we're gonna have more money than we're used to having.
Good.
And so we've got some ability to do more. And so that's good news. We're, but a word of caution on that. This year's PV Palooza depended pretty strongly on leftovers from last year's PV Palooza.
Hmm.
So if we spend the same amount next year on PV Palooza, I can't imagine why it couldn't, because and we'll talk about this in a minute. If anything, the event's going to become more complicated, not less complicated, and there'll be more things doing less things to do. So if we don't raise significantly more money next year than we do this year, we won't have that cushion. So we might need to reserve some of the cushion that's in our budget for that. Just and then if we end up doing fine, we'll figure out a way to spend it. And remember that the whole trick here is that we need to spend it before the end of the fiscal year or we lose it. If we use it or lose it. And what's tricky, and we'll talk about the timing of PV Palooza, is it happens just before the end of the fiscal year. And so it's like, we have no idea the tricks and little things that I had to do to make sure that we spent all of the money out of that bucket before diving into the next bucket. And because I don't have my hands on the finance system, I have to do it all through emails. The team that's super busy at the end of the year. That's hard. But the point is that we got our budget. Let me see if I can. I'll pull it up later and we'll announce what the budget amount is, but it's more than what we had last year by $1,000 or $2,000, maybe $2,000. So that's good news. The summer concert series is kind of on rails. We've got one tomorrow. Oh, sorry, today. Woohoo. We got one later today, and it's going to be fantastic. I don't know if you saw the video that is sent around to the town. They're so good. I just can't wait. It's going to be such a good vibe. I'm going to go ahead and I normally let the band start. I'm going to go ahead and get up and introduce the band and ask people to feel free to sing along because they are a sing-along band and every single person knows all the words to all the songs. I don't care what age you are, Mac, we all know it. Thank you. Grandkids know them, kids know them, adults know them, and grandparents know them. So they are about as popular a band as you could get in terms of, you know, just everybody loves Fleetwood Mac. I can't think of a band that is more that way. Super excited. So it's going to be fun. A little bit of a snafu this year that we're going to have to learn from is that in May, Alpine Hills planned and implemented a Thirsty Thursdays event for the second Thursday of every month in the summer. And today is one of them.
I saw that.
They hired Todd Johnson, and this time he's got Bundy Brown coming. So we're gonna have a full music event going on. It starts at 5:30 and ends at 8. Exact overlap.
Oh, same time.
And they're gonna be serving wine and it's a great event. I went last month, but, I guess I didn't notice that that happened. And I think Simona, who's a fantastic event planner, who's really up to the game there at Alpine in terms of the social program there, she should check our calendar before she plans the event. So next year, we're gonna have to proactively communicate with Simona Oliveri at the club, at Alpine Club. Make sure that doesn't happen again. Kind of a bummer because Todd's fans are gonna be, missing. He has a lot of fans. And plus, we're gonna miss Todd. It's only club. But they'll have guests as well. So it usually is a pretty big draw, but it's okay. I just think that next year it's on us to make sure that we proactively communicate with anybody who could, whether it be restaurants or stocks, whatever. We should proactively communicate with all the businesses in town and tell them, look, this is the plan. 'Cause we came up with these dates, I think, end of the year. And they've been on the website since the beginning of the year. But it's on us to, kind of take this as a learning and make sure that we can do it for that next year. So that, other than that, I think it's all on rails. Like the last event kind of went off without a hit. You guys put out those day of signs, which are great. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of hassle. And I know that, and I really appreciate you guys doing it. So, but there's no obligation. It's super hot right now and running around with the car, the trunk load of sandwich boards and putting them up and remembering to take them down. It's a lot of logistical overhead. And it's a great thing to have, but by no means is it. So you guys can do it. That's great. If it's up, that's great. If it's not up, that's fine too. I think the overall music program is getting to the point where it's got some more momentum post-COVID than it did before. And people, as a result of PV Palooza and the success of the other events we've had this year, are more aware of the program and more likely to search for online, even if they're not a member of the events that I published in, sorry, the social media that I published in. Social media that I published in the town are obviously Facebook and Instagram, also PV Forum, Nextdoor. For Nextdoor, I chose the communities of Portola Valley, Woodside. That's it. Maybe a few others. I think for Nextdoor, Ladera is part of Portola Valley, but there's a separate PV Forum group with also a groups.io is the platform. So PV Forum used to be on Yahoo Groups. They moved it to groups.io. That's where Ladera List server is. So I put it on Ladera List server, and also PV Ranch has its own little private kind of so I put it on there as well. So some people belong to all three, like me, and they all got 3 emails. But anyway, if you guys have any other ideas, maybe some of the communities up on the hill might be, a good place to post this stuff. And also, I might want to spread out. Whoever is interested in doing posts, a place like that, it does take a while to do the copy and paste. We could, for example, just have a shared Google Docs and multiple people. Unfortunately, I can't take a post I've just done on PV Forum and just repost it to their List server. It's a copy paste and it doesn't handle images very well, so you gotta re-upload the images each time. 20 minutes of fiddling around each time there's an event coming up. So for this, there's only one more summer concert series. I'll do this one, but maybe next summer, those of us who have social media know-how can help lighten the load, because it does take a little time.
I know that people have said the last minute, or that they see the signboard or a last minute post. They do appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly.
And they do come, so I think it's worth it to at least post today.
Yeah,
I
I
know
have.
you did, I'll do one.
Yeah, and it's also good to, oh, you saw two? You saw- Yeah, I think that's probably because you belong to both PV Forum and Portola Valley Ranch Forum. Two different things. Sometimes they feel like they're the same thing. So that's probably why. Other than that, I think the summer concert series is kind of like I said, it's on rail. Anything else about the summer concert series? Yeah,
It's, oh, there's one coming up.
yeah,
That's right, that's right.
exactly.
I was aware for, you know, to miss it. It is, was it as well attended, as the fall?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good, great.
Oh, yeah. it
Better
was-
than last year.
Oh, really? Was it as hot?
No,
No.
it was nice. In fact, if anything, it was, you know, if you're a perfectionist, you would probably dial up the temperature a couple of degrees. But, you know, you put on a windbreaker, you're good. It was a little chilly, but it was so much fun.
Right to hear.
There were, you know, there were some definite take homes in terms of, we had some stage management issues on one of the stages and it went about an hour and 20 minutes for that. We just couldn't in our hearts stop because you can't tell a band who's all psyched that time. So the schedule on one of the stages was way off, so we have some stage management.
Yeah, and that's, and it, you come in too.
No, we were scheduled. We were scheduled. It's just that, oh. No, they were scheduled. So then, advanced planning for PV Palooza 2024. Well, guess what? We were just talking about it. So definitely stage management for next year. We talked about that in the prior meeting. The town wants to have a meeting with me about what we can do for next year. And I've just been kind of slammed lately and I've kicked the meeting down the road. They wanted to have it as soon as possible after the event, so we would meet with the town. And I know what this meeting is about. The meeting is, and I hinted about it earlier, the meeting is about the amount of work that occurs at a really difficult time for the town, because it's right at the end of the fiscal year. And so what they would like to do is propose moving the time. So next agenda topic is to talk about the time.
What happened was the insurance and the liquor license, went back to the hard part.
Well, it was just overall the number of,
They don't do anything, I mean, not, that they don't do anything, but we pretty much do all the physical on the day of.
oh, that's true. What the town got overwhelmed with apparently is the number of checks that they had to write and the number of
Oh.
contracts they had to review at a time when they're trying to do the 2020, the next year's fiscal budget. And so Cindy wrote us in particular, but also Brandy DeGarmo and well, the whole team got kind of overloaded with PV Palooza work that they couldn't, I mean, anything that we could do, we did do, right?
Yeah.
There are a couple of things that they have to do, like social media stuff. I had a PV Palooza Facebook page. I was forced to take it down. I had an Instagram page. As well, forced to take it down. We're not allowed to have any internet presence. We can post individually, hey, I'm going to this event, and we can write whatever the heck we want about how great the event's going to be to our own followers on Facebook or Instagram or social media, but PV Palooza, for example, couldn't be a presence. So I had to shut those down. The town of Portola Valley is the presence, and we can't post to that. It has to be the town stations. So,
So they've kind of made their own order.
well, yeah, but it's also, I understand why.
we
It's
were
regulatory.
aware of.
Yeah, it's regulatory. I understand why you wouldn't want just anybody publishing something that who knows what can kind of content.
Mhm. Hey, can I just interject real quick? Can you guys try to talk into your mics? Because
Oh,
it's kind of hard to hear everybody.
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, Kari, 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 Carrie Chin, yeah, she's the head of communications and she's the one who takes care of it. And she's great at it. She gets it all scheduled out ahead of time. She lets me do the PV forum thing, which normally isn't allowed, but I think they kind of allow it because they've done it enough where they're okay with it. And the reason it's hard for someone like her to do that is you can't pre-program, like you can schedule a post for Facebook, so you could sit down and on Monday afternoon and do all the Facebook posts for the upcoming summer concert series, plus PV, like get everything done in one go, and it just happens. With PV Forum, you post it now or you don't post at all, right? Which means you have to sprinkle that effort throughout your time. It's a lot harder for someone whose job it is to do communication. So I think that's why she lets me do that part of it. In terms of the timing, they would like to move it to a different date. Yeah,
I was gonna suggest we go back to June, July, and August for our monthly summer concerts. And move it to September. And, and check with, oh, that's right, we've got dots to top.
yeah,
They used to do it in June,
They used to do it in June.
and I don't know if they, and then we did something jointly.
Live Revive was joint.
you did,
Yes,
yes.
yes. And
I-
then,
I don't want to do that again.
no, I
Yeah.
mean, but so the dates have all changed. Used to be, the kids would graduate 8th grade, big graduation party at the MUR, and we had the town picnic the next day.
No,
And then everybody left town.
We had all
So-
the decorations up at the.
And then we had all the decorations up, yeah. But that's changed, and then we have had years where Parks and Rec does not have a picnic
right.
for one reason or another. COVID,
So I mean,
rain, remember we had rain one year.
I kind of like the current cadence to have, early June
Yes,
has a lot of advantages, and we've talked about those, and that's why we picked it. There are some disadvantages, but I think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. And then June, July, August, July, August, September for the summer concert series is a nice cadence. It used to be a month earlier, like you said. And actually, the reason that we shifted it is that one year, you might recall this, we had a budget issue that got solved by kicking forward by 1 month, because by the new schedule basically pushed everything forward into a new budget year.
I remember that.
That was a little finagling I did to handle a budgetary issue, but it ended up nicely because that meant that June was dedicated to Palooza. So
I like June, and I'd like to keep it, I think.
I like it too. But they might really insist upon it. I have some pushback on what I think we can do to resolve the core complaint they have, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But there is a downside to June, and that's the following. For students, there were several bands who played who were like really good. And they're all going off to college. And next year, most of them are going to semester colleges. And semester colleges are still in school at the June 10th timeframe. So there were some parents who said, this is really sad because this band won't be able to play next year because they're going to be off to college. If you're on that was quarters. If you're on semesters system, then you're out by June 10th. So there is a downside, but there's no perfect date. It's a balancing act. So I kind of like the early to mid-June timeframe.
So you're saying, John, you're saying that the council wants us to push it after June, like into July? That would be their preference?
I think so. I think that's what they're going to.
I don't like
Yeah.
that at all.
Not so many people are around.
No.
There's nobody here.
Would we ever
Has to be
consider
June.
pushing it up until like end of May? To like buy them more wiggle room to wrap up the fiscal year?
Well, I think the end of May is going to start. Well, yeah, I guess we could. we could try end of May. That's an interesting idea.
I think Memorial Day, isn't that the last weekend of May?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's,
Not over Memorial Day, though.
yeah,
Yeah, so the prior weekend, the second to last weekend in May.
Yeah.
So what about the first weekend after that? Well, which really is where we are, the 7th or 9th, or however it falls,
yeah.
on a Saturday. Who has a calendar? I do.
I mean, maybe they would even appreciate just that much of a adjustment if we, because I would imagine that they'll want some amount of, of flexibility and movement on our side to accommodate them. So even if it were as little as a couple of weeks. So the first Saturday of June is June 1st. And that's Memorial Day weekend. And so if we did Saturday, May 25th, I mean, that's as late as it gets in May for a Saturday before Memorial Day. So that could be our compromise if we felt like we had to move the date.
Yeah. And then we could do May and then late June, late July, late August for the summer concert series. Because the September event tends to start getting a little too dark early anyway, so it might benefit from shifting the whole summer concert series for a little bit. That would have a budgetary impact, however, because we would be having one more summer concert series event. And we have basically 4 in this fiscal year, because we had 3 in this fiscal year already. We've been having a 4th because June is still part of this fiscal year that we're currently in. Right, so, but we can afford it, right? I think we just have to, maybe what we do is we have the first of the summer concert series, one of the lower cost bands of the bunch. What we
What
negotiate,
date does the fiscal year start?
the end of June, sorry, the first day of July, is the first day of the fiscal year.
Okay.
But all of that's solvable. We could do payment terms. So look, on July 1st for performance to be 2 days earlier.
So is it just like one person in the town hall that does the finance?
I'm,
And
Ex-
couldn't they work extra hard and take a vacation or something?
Well-
You know, not work 9 to 5 in.
They're all working their
so
tails off.
the workaround, so one solution is we stand firm on the date and we come
Yeah.
up with a solution to their problem. And let's talk about that in just a minute, because I think there are some solutions. to the problem. And the other is we use this as an opportunity to change the date because it makes sense. These are some ideas, right?
Yeah,
I don't think we want to make the decision now. I also don't think we want to make the decision in the heat of the moment when I'm down.
no,
But the next time we meet, I will have met with the town and we can kind of discuss the ideal date. And we should probably set a goal of, by the end of September, having picked a date for PD3 or for all the events next summer.
Well, couldn't we pay them overtime or something? I mean, I get it that they
They're-
could have done a normal work week, but
It's an emotional thing. I can tell you that they're super frustrated about the, and I'll tell you what the frustration is. And by the way, it's enormously frustrating for me. Yeah. So I'm trying to raise money for an event and I have no idea whether the check's coming or whether the person did what they said they were going to do. I have no idea. And so I can send an email, but it's budget season, so might not get a response to the email. So I'm trying to raise money and I have no idea if until like a week later, whether actually I'm need to follow up with someone. So the alternative is to follow up with them and just ignore them, which is what I was doing. I was just saying, hey, I have no idea if it came through. And but that's more phone calls and more work for me, a lot more. Number 2 is that whole process of taking checks into an account that the town administers. It's a revenue account. Most of the budgets that the town deals with are expenditure and expense accounts. There's not very many places where the town takes in money. right? So they've created this account. It's a 501c and it's got all kinds of anti-corruption layers around it, which it should. Totally think that anytime money there should be all kinds of regulations, and I couldn't agree more that all those layers of regulation should be in place, but it makes it completely inaccessible to me and astoundingly frustrating. And it generates a ton of work. Every time somebody sends in $100 check, they've got to deal with it. And worst of all, the website that was developed using government tools, tools that are designed for small local governments, are incredibly unuser friendly. So these poor people who are trying to just send a buck in for a nice community event run into all kinds of problems. And many times I log in on their behalf and make it a donation for them. It's just a disaster. But there are really nice software platforms, completely available, very affordable, monthly it is, which are 501c compatible, audit trail generating, like completely transparent. They live and die by this. That's what they do. Make software and do this. I could raise all the money, all of that activity of contributions, all that happens outside of the town. They can come and audit it whenever they want. They get it audited. And then the checks can go, let's say, once a month. You make a transfer from a fundraising account to the town account, isolating them from having to deal with individual stuff. And instead, I deal with it using a tool that's super easy to use. And then we make these, it's a monthly big chunk transfers. And then the town writes the check to Greg Poston, to all the musicians or whatever. If I could write those checks, I would, but I don't think there's a way to do that. Anyway, the idea is to use modern platforms. And by the way, those accept credit cards. You can scan a QR code. You can be at a booth out here. They come by, take a picture of it. Boom, they make a donation, just like all the modern stuff that works so easily. I don't know. That's what I'm going to be told. I hinted at it to Brandy because Brandy DeGarmo wrote all of the donation portal and everything else that would be replaced by this. So I wanted to make sure that I'm sure there's ownership there, but at the same time, I just wanted to give her a bit of a thing. That's one of the ideas because she was concerned about the workload. And so, so that's one of the ideas is to use one of these additional. Hello, Jan. Oh, awesome. Anyway, so that's another idea. And unfortunately, I don't remember the name of this platform, Ryan, but if you Google 501c complaint or something like that, it comes up and it's one of these great little software companies that just does everything. So I hope that's going to be the way to do it because they're frustrated. I'm frustrated. There's a problem. Like it takes a ton of work for them to administer, and it's work that would be easy using this platform, and it would be easier for me. Everybody would be happy.
Are you gonna do that at the next meeting?
When I meet with them, yeah, I'm going to propose that idea.
By the way, thank you, John. Not only do you get all the great music for us, I didn't realize you had to do all the, and I can't offer or we'd be going to prison. If I did the money, so thank you very much.
Thank you for saying that, but it is, it would be a lot easier if I didn't have to, for every single one of those donations, the number of emails for every one of those donations, crazy. And I don't blame Cindy for being super upset. She had to answer them. Well, often she wouldn't because she was overwhelmed. It's really hard for me to raise the name. But when I got over the finish line for the fundraising, I was blown away. I was like, I did not think I was going to make it. This is spring. So next year, it would be so much easier if I just had one of these portals. And every time somebody sends in, I get a little alert on my phone, oh, great, we just got $250 from so-and-so, and now I can see my total is. I don't have any of that transparency. It's super hard.
Acceptable by people when they write. You know, they fill up and, oh,
Exactly.
because the system is so in depth that people
Uh-huh.
gave up.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying.
And then you couldn't put cash. Yeah, I mean, I think people would give $20 or
Yeah.
something without a credit card even,
Yeah.
because they're so grateful
Yeah.
and so surprised.
So like, it's lawful or not, but if you could have, you know, the fifth. No,
No, they just said they
No.
couldn't.
it's in the minutes from last month. The town does not allow cash
Yeah,
donations.
so, I
But
don't
so
think
many
that-
people today are used to the QR code. You know, we can just put a QR code on every single piece, you know, want to donate, just put it on every.
Mm.
Exactly, because they could just take a picture, just like paying at Rosati's. Exactly.
maybe we need to look at that again. The town needs to look at their, because there were times when we did take cash, and then we don't, and then wasn't there a group, wasn't there a committee that took donations and then spread them out? And then that didn't work.
Yeah.
So maybe the town needs to revisit some of their policy.
Okay, so, next meeting, we'll bring up PV Palooza again, and we'll talk about we'll find out whether we need to shift the date. Okay.
Hey,
Another-
before we move on, because I know we have a couple agenda items left, I wanted to just flag and get on the record the opportunity in making some money this next year off of the alcohol sales. I know that's something we didn't account for last year as we were just kind of getting our bearings and that whole process, but John, that should buy us, no pun intended, some flexibility in the budget and just accounting for getting a cut of those sales this year.
Yeah, so, what happened this year, remember I was stressed out about not having hit the fundraising targets. What I did is I called, Devil's Canyon a few days after the event. And how did it all go? And all the good news about how that went. And, and I was able to get the amount of the revenue that they generated. So I asked them for a donation, and they said, well, and I said, you know, we're trying to get over the finish line. Anyway, I got the amount that we were missing from the town after some back and forth emails. They still didn't know the final amounts and some of the line items like security and such that I don't have the handle on. Got that number, called Devil's Canyon, and they gave a nice donation. So that's how we got over the final stretch, was kind of last minute thing. But what would be much better, for Ryan's thing, is to have us for the day. And by the way, Greg Poston does another event.
Brian, do you mean to take a percentage of what they end up making?
Well, one way or another, to extract more value from the alcohol sales, either by taking a percentage or what Redwood City or New San Carlos. Anyway, this other event that Greg Poston is very much involved in, the audio guy. The town, like members of the community, just, you know, well in advance, you get people to come show up and give you one. So you can pay people to do it. And you get you charge whatever you charge, and then you pay for the beer that you bought, or you pay for the wine that you bought.
Yeah.
It's enormous.
Mhm.
Talk pocket all of that for revenue for future events. And by the way, we learned a ton. Ryan, so Heidi, you, everybody who was involved in the permitting learned a ton about what we need to do with permitting. You know, names and stuff. So that next year we could get those permits ourselves. And the main reason we wanted this year to just kind of wash our hands of it and just say, look, Devil Canyon, come and make all the money you want pouring dirt for us. Let us watch you get your permits and figure all that out. We have that. We know what it takes to get a permit. The next year we can, with advanced planning, have a team that we can put together here and, you know, get that permitting taken care of, recruit some folks who want to come to run a beer. Maybe we pay some of them. Who knows how that would all work out, and we can generate a revenue stream that we can really use to bolster.
Sounds okay with all that, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have to be compliant. Well, that's another way to do it. Yeah. Maybe that's a compromise. Yeah. Well, they did. It was $9,000.
In one day?
Yeah.
One,
That's what California does, and so they will. And then you start to have, you know, the food trucks too.
Yeah.
You should be.
Yeah.
You know, they're making, I mean, $9,000.
but
I mean, even the artists too. I mean, we could charge a booth fee.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
but we didn't charge you this year.
No,
No.
yeah, and there's.
I don't like to charge local,
even if it's minimal,
but,
know.
but
or a percentage.
So it's a
Yeah.
good point. Let's agendaize for the next meeting, to talk about ways to extract more value from.
Yeah.
artists and art sales. But, you know, this year, we kind of just wanted to win. Next year, there's an opportunity. Okay, good point, Ryan. The other challenge with TV Palooza 2024, we had 14 artists, sorry, 14 bands, not including the kids. By the way, did you know that almost 100 musicians took the stage? Astounding. But next year, like this year, Ryan's band didn't play. He wasn't able to. Hoping next year Ryan's band will play. There's another band, the family band out of Los Trancos. Not that Los Trancos. There's another one called the Family Band. Dr. Sid.
With Sig.
Good family. And there's about 4 or 5 other bands. So we're close to 20 bands interested in it. And we can't do 20 bands in one day. We just on 2 stages. We could add a 3rd stage. I don't know. We could add afternoon, Friday afternoon, Saturday day event. Make it a 2-day event. We could do Saturday, Sunday potentially, or we could get more competitive. That's a suggestion that's been made. I don't like the competition aspect because it's going to put me and others who are involved in the selection process in a very good position. And one of the great things about this event was how great of a community vibe it was, and there's nothing like a judgment to kill the vibe, especially in music. I just want it to be open and available. So that's a problem to be solved. So be thinking about how we would solve it. And I would like to take off the table the idea of having competition selection judgment. I think it would be.
is the stage set up by Friday night?
Yeah, it is. So
Yeah, so it might be kind of cool to do 2 or 3 on Friday night
yeah,
and then go Saturday.
and the La Honda Fair is a 2-day event. You're more familiar with the La Honda Fair.
Yeah, Saturday, they do Friday night, but not on the festival grounds of music. With an opener and a main act, and then Saturday and Sunday, they have music from basically 10 or 11 until 8 o'clock.
So that, so
Yeah,
two-day event might be
yeah.
a way to go. So let's,
Plus the Friday night event is huge. I mean, it's probably like 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah.
It's the one thing kind of thinking about. What if it was that you have to have a date that people have to commit to putting their band into the festival on a certain date? And that you don't have, and then you have a show. You know what I mean? Like,
Deadline.
entries open on, January 15th and they close on March 1st.
you're saying filter by attrition, in other words, who's, put some
But then
things,
you have the people that are really serious, practice a lot and actually have.
yeah, but the thing is that, I can tell you, just to show up and play on a stage. Can you hear me? Just to show up and play on a stage, that in and of itself is a giant commitment. you wanna make, Right, so, I don't think there's gonna, yeah. I mean, what we could do is kind of play it by ear. In other words, we could say you need to have your, band submit, the big problem is we won't have many young performers, because the younger you are, the less likelihood in, 8 months ahead of the event that you're gonna be able to.
Right, get on the ball.
But I think it is cool to have the community vibe and everything. I think
Yeah.
that's great. But I think sometimes if it gets much bigger, it's gonna be harder to manage the people that aren't really that.
Or we could do some optionality around it. In other words, we could say, look, by X date, let's say it's December 15th, 2023, you need to have submitted your portfolio, whatever that is. And the portfolio has to be YouTube videos, you have to do a write-up, you have to do all that stuff. You have to submit it for committee approval, and then we just basically approve pretty much everybody. Right? Keep the vibe good. And then we looked at, see how many there are. If there were only 14 bands submitted, boom, we have problem solved. If there's 20, then we say, okay, well, we're gonna have to do a 1.5 day event. And so we do the optionality around how many submissions we get. Yeah. Or we could say, it's a good idea. We can kind of blend these ideas.
Pardon me.
But I was. And it was the same. They're human rights films, and we don't want to tell people not to. Do it. Then it went to the first chunk was you have to submit the state and that's really no matter what.
Right. Well,
And we're kind of in juxtaposition here, aren't we? The town is telling us it's too much work and we have to scale appropriately and come up with new ideas to fix the problems they're encountering. And we're sitting here talking about making it bigger in 2 days and 20 bands. They didn't complain when we had 2 stages and 14 bands.
we did. They
Well, they
said this
did back
year's
then,
event
too.
was more complicated than last year's event because of the number of bands. And this and that.
Correct.
They said that was a fault. So your point, Jerry, is a good one. And that is that the town is pushing back and complaining about the complexity of this year's event. Now we're just here discussing about making a more complex event.
Right.
The solution to having a complex, making it so we don't have such a complex event is to add the judgment aspect, filter. Yeah, but the commitment aspect. So it's a good idea. Let's try it.
That's a great idea.
And then,
Everybody idea and we next meeting we can.
yeah,
Yes. But your premise is, I don't want this to be a judgment.
Yeah.
I want this not excuse.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
But,
And
you know,
John,
that
you
said,
have your, you know them and it pretty much, almost a handshake. And you know the bands are good. If you get too much bigger, you might lose a little, I don't want to use control, but a little opinion on that.
no, you're
So,
right.
and we don't want to make it harder on you either.
I mean, it's definitely the case. I know that there are, for example, some very good heavy metal bands in
Mm.
town, and they're not part of PV Palooza. They're not. So fortunately, it never came to a head, but the invitation. But I think there's a lot of unspoken, it's all good. I think he understands the person we're talking about. We're talking about Andy Hewitt. He's, he would, yeah. It was very good. But you really have to. You have to go, okay. Anyway, so the point is that there's some judgment. So we are 5 minutes over, and I think we have a few minutes left to go. If anybody needs to leave, feel free to leave or Ryan, if you need to drop off.
Yeah, I've got to hop. Thanks, guys. See you next time. See you later tonight at the concert.
Yeah. See you at the concert, Ryan. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Ryan, thanks. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. September 23rd. Wow,
Thank
okay,
you.
good to know.
We won't come.
Yeah, that's great. All right.
And they do it every year.
It's
I
nice that
didn't
we
know.
live outside the danger zone.
I can't tell you the number of people that cuss at me coming out of Alpine. I've been on that corner for several years now.
Yeah.
And they say they know nothing about it. So we're gonna make sure the manager over there at Alpine lets, because not everybody lives in Portola. They don't read it on the forum.
Yeah.
They don't see it on a banner. So, and they just want to take their car and go. And I try to tell them there's horses and children on tricycles coming. And they go, I don't see anything, you know, and I said, well, they're coming. Twice I've had to get the sheriff.
We didn't cover that. There's a lot of the agenda that we didn't get a chance to cover, but I did want to make mention of a couple of items. First of all, Sue's email regarding the the photography archives, we brought it up on a number of occasions, so we'll have to bring that again next meeting. And then the Christmas fair. What's interesting is that everybody here has been talking about a Christmas fair in the past, because we used to have one. It hasn't happened yet in terms of someone taking the bull by the horns and making it happen. But it sounds like you're interested in doing it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I,
Just
Oh.
sent that.
Yeah, I love help.
Everybody
oh,
here,
awesome, great.
I was expecting that reaction when you said that.
Yeah. No, I've coordinated lots of art fairs before. I would be happy to round up some local artists and, you know, get a wreath maker and, you know, hopefully get some volunteers, maybe cookie decorating and just make it festive and magical.
That's
Um,
awesome. And I've heard your vision for it. It sounds great. It's very much in line with what Sue and Jerry and some of the more established members of this committee have been talking about. So you can see a lot of faces just lit up. I
Yeah.
knew that was going to happen when we announced that. So great news. And what I propose is that in the next meeting, we bring it up again, and this time we create a subcommittee. If you'd like to head that subcommittee, and then I'm confident that there'll be others here who are beaming right now who will be joining you on that subcommittee, and you guys can make that happen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The date for it.
I would encourage all of you to go to the one in Ladera, which is the Creative Circle art group that Pam Joelle started. It'll be the September 9th, is it?
Yeah, I'm also part of that.
Yeah, the,
So,
the church is just so generous,
mhm.
and not only in letting the music, but helping, and I don't think there's any charge there. But it's a great concept. It's a lovely event,
Yeah,
and
I'm looking
might
forward
pick
to
up
it.
a couple of artists as well as ideas.
Mhm.
Are you thinking of the Priory?
No, I'm thinking of doing it here.
Here, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
In the
I mean, not,
schoolhouse.
not in the schoolhouse. No.
We could do it in the town hall.
So
And
we
I
used to
don't-
use the schoolhouse.
I mean,
Like
it
the
certainly could
smaller,
be
the
used.
jewelry and the smaller things in here. You,
Mhm.
you can pack a lot of people in here.
Yeah. I
Hey,
mean,
guys,
we
I'm
could
gonna-
honestly make it, use all
So
the
much like the
buildings.
farmer's market with tents and.
Go
I-
ahead and, well, I'm about to have my battery die. I'm gonna go ahead
Oh,
and end the meeting officially.
What
but-
about the piano? Piano for community hall.
Oh, the piano.
Oh, oh my God,
So years ago, we did approve that we wanted a piano, either a grand or a baby grand in the MUR. We went to the town council. They did not say no. Everybody worries about what if it gets damaged or something? I'm not worried about that. And that far door that's next to the bathroom, there's nothing ever there. I mean, no one ever uses that space. What? Oh, they come up all the time, and what I was thinking is, could we be ready to jump on it? Shall we go back to the council and verify and get ready to jump on it?
There's free
Sounds
ones
like-
on the forum all the time.
They're all the time, and some of them appear to be beautiful.
And a good cover and we're all
And I
set.
think we could ask for one and get it as well.
yeah,
So, I
I
just
think
would,
it's a
I'd like to
fabulous idea.
renew that thought.
fabulous
and-
idea. You go to any train station
So after we get on with
Holland.
the photography exhibit, maybe they'll listen to us. And even if one child plays to 5 people there, it'll be worth it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
so,
yeah.
oh, great, all right.
You
Oh,
Go into the waiting hall at Stanford and it's so lovely when somebody shows up and starts playing piano.
yeah, and I think we could just do an impromptu too,
Yeah,
yeah. But mainly I'm thinking of kids being able to perform.
yeah. Thanks, guys.
Okay, you're gonna turn off the meeting here, John?
Oh, yeah.
Jim wants to know how much